All right, John Creighton of Mr. Vegas. Chiefs and Broncos on Sunday. Boy, oh boy, what a matchup. Broncos 8-point favorites, seeing 50 on the total. You don't have to hype this one. You got an unbeaten team against Peyton Manning in the Denver Broncos. You've got Jack Del Rio having to step in as the head coach on an interim basis for John Fox, who's recovering from heart surgery. Manning is off the a little bit of a scare, I guess you could say, with the ankle, but he appears to be okay. The Chiefs are an amazing story. Absolutely amazing, Jim. 29-67 over the last 6 years. 29-67, and here they are unbeaten. And I know they haven't been the best team in the league. They've been getting some breaks. But the fact is, they're still unbeaten. And I think they're going to look at this and, believe me, these guys would know what the point spread is, or if they're not, they don't know it, they're told it. And everybody in that Kansas City team is going to go into this game saying, boy, they're not giving us any respect at all. They think we're going to get killed. And that's a selling point.
Well, it is a selling point. As far as the 29-67, I kind of throw that out. This is a team that had a lot of management problems, head coaching issues, offensive coordinator issues. This team was in turmoil. Last year, when they had a little bit of stability, it looked like going into the year, a lot of us, including myself, thought that they would be a contender for that division. They got a lot of injuries last year. Almost every cluster injuries and all across the board, and they never really had a chance. They had 2 victories the entire year. This year, they've had the benefit of playing almost every game, not every game, but almost every game against a backup quarterback. I mean, it's been absolutely, everything has gone right for them. It's like if you're rolling dice and you need a 7, the wind would come through and change the die to a 7 if I hit the table. Everything. They have had the benefit of playing backup quarterbacks. I think it's like 4 or 5 straight weeks. And that doesn't put any pressure or very much pressure on your defense at all. They're going to go up against the team this week that puts pressure on every defense. So we're going to see a whole different dynamic coming out of this game. Now, Peyton Manning is a little older. He's been banged up. He's had 3 surgeries. We know all of that. And then now the ankle issues. Von Miller has changed their defense a lot. Now, he's come back. All of a sudden, their defense looks a lot more dynamic. I mean, their defense is 30th against the pass, 4th against the run. Well, the problem is this team, Denver usually gets so far ahead of you, the teams that they can't run the ball. They have to throw the ball all over the field to catch up. And, of course, not everybody's capable of doing that. This is going to be a whole – got to remember how Kansas City plays. They run the ball very effectively. Jamal Charles is a great player. He averages 4.3 yards per carry. They dink and dunk when it comes to the passing game. They don't go downfield a lot. They don't have a lot of dynamism to going down the field. Alex Smith is a guy that manages games. He's not dynamic, but if you take this record he has this year and combine it with what he had at San Francisco before he got hurt and he lost his job to Colin Kaepernick, I don't remember. I think it was 1864 the last time this guy lost a football game. You know, I mean, it's like forever. So he is a winner. And the way he plays, he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. And Andy Reid has done a great coaching job here. So you've got this totally different styles of football. This is old-style football with Kansas City. That's how they play. And is 9.5, 8.5, is that too big a number against a team that's undefeated? It probably is. I think Kansas City is better. You can't totally blame them for the teams they've had to face. They don't choose that. That's just the way it comes up. Yes, they've had a little bit easier road, but they got a lot of time to prepare for this game. And they did not play last week. They're coming off a bye. A lot of preparation time. Now, here's interesting. Game open 51. I'm seeing 49, 49.5. This is Denver, who up until last week had gone over every game this year. Last week they did not. They put a lot of pressure on San Diego. that's a little bit more. Von Miller coming back is a dynamic defensive player. Their defense is getting better. So we're seeing some under money in this game, and that's because of the style that Denver is facing and Denver's defense getting a little bit better as the season goes on.
It's also because of the weather, which is a little bit of a factor here, potentially. The weather,
yeah,
it's November in Denver, and we're talking about, low 40s. We've got a 30% chance of snow. Going to have double-digit wind in this game, and we know how that can impact any passing game, even with somebody as great as Peyton Manning. The Chiefs, no mystery what they're going to do. They're going to try and shorten this game as much as possible. They don't want to get in a shootout. They can't win that. I think the total is going to continue to come down in this game with the pros betting the under, and I think they're right. I think that's the play in this game. As far as the side is concerned, look, I mean, the Chiefs, from all the sabermetric breakdowns and just the obvious stuff, as you mentioned, playing backup quarterbacks and just seemingly running into weird plays made by the other team's offense every week, they're getting phenomenally lucky. But they're still unbeaten. They're on a major roll. I don't want to get in front of that. I really don't. I mean, it's when a team's getting everything going their way, the idea is to wait for it not to go their way before you try and jump in. So my focus here, if anything, will be on the under, and I think that's where the value is in this game. Sean?
Yeah, Dave, you kind of stole a little bit of my thunder there because I did take the time to look up the weather in Denver, and it's always something you want to do at this time of the year. And you're right, the high is supposed to be about 41. The wind from the northwest, I don't know the layout of that field up there, but it's going to be in double digits, 13 to 15. So it has to help Kansas City, in my opinion. And, in response to what you said, Jim, which is more the stat side, I tend to look at the technical side. So when was the last time a 9-0 team was getting 8 and 8.5 points? I mean, that's like almost unheard of, and I can't remember it in any kind of recent history. And this is actually not just what month? This is just not defense.
Jim said the last time Alex Smith lost the game was in 1864, so I'll figure that was the last time that happened.
His grandfather. Right? And this matchup isn't just about defense and offense. This is very good defense against very good offense. Now, I had mentioned before point spreads, and you've heard me use this phrase before, Jim. We've known each other a long time. Point spreads are really about perspective, how you look at another team. And you're right, the Kansas City's played a lot of backup quarterbacks, et cetera, but the fact is they've done 4 games on the road and covered every game. So the perspective, even though you can pick it apart, the bottom line is, and Kansas City not just covering, how about on the road by 22, by 13, by 6, and by 6? They're not just squeaking by, they're covering by comfortable margins, and they're doing it in both roles. The winner of this game, by the way, will be the current number 1 seed. Denver has a lot of reasons to play here, but they're kind of in a bad spot. They're not only at home against Kansas City, but they have to go on the road next week to New England, Tom Brady. There's already a line on that game. I find it hard to believe it. Denver is a 3-point favorite right now, the following week, and then guess who they have to play the week after that? They got to go on the road again and play Kansas City.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say from here, Jim, probably Denver, the way things are, maybe 2.5 point favorite, something like that if I had to make a number right now. So this is a really major game. Kansas City's deal has to be if we can somehow beat these guys, we will probably have number 1 pretty much through the playoffs. That's the end of that. Do it right here and now, and you're getting 8.5 points. Maybe I'm stepping into it like I am with this New Orleans game against San Francisco, but there's just no reason in the world to take anybody but those 8.5, or 8.5 points, maybe 8. I've seen it both. I don't know that it'll get to 9. I find that hard to believe. And with that weather up there, it suits Kansas City's style of offense a whole lot better than it does Denver's, and they clearly have the better defense. I think it is a low-scoring game, Dave. I think you're right about that. I'm going to take the points.
Excellent analysis, guys. Let me chirp in here about the point spread.
Well, that's why I get the big bucks, Jim.
Or lunches, right?
Little shot there, yeah, right. Lunches.
We get lunches at the Mission. That's how we pay, Sean.
Pride is low calorie. I'm not afraid to swallow it.
There's what's called the teaser protection lines, and a lot of places you'll see out there have 9.5 on that because if somebody comes in and plays a 6 or 7.5 or 7-point teaser, they get teaser protection line. So that's an advantage.
That's why they do it. That's why they do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So the real line on this game is 8.5. But in the teaser protection line shops, and if you shop for numbers like all of us do, we're seeing 9.5. Now you can go to that shop, and if you really like the dog, you can even buy it up to 10 if you want to do it. And quite honestly, it wouldn't be that expensive at some of these spots. They actually have some advantages to that. But the real number is 8.5, and everything you guys said is 100% true. This is a huge game. Denver has a real rough road ahead of them the next couple of weeks.
All right, let's get to our best bets and a recap of what we have going this weekend. Sean, you can choose either of the games we talked about, or if you've got one other that you prefer to talk about, by all means, mention that.
No, you know what? We talked about it, and that's it. I can't believe this New Orleans line. I don't think San Francisco makes the playoffs. I know that's a pretty strong team, but I got a lot of trends that back that up over the last 25, 30-year history. Super Bowl losers do not make the playoffs a lot of the time. I don't know what the problem is back there in San Francisco, because the talent is certainly on that ball club, but I think New Orleans, I think this is a blowout by 17 or more. I didn't mean to insult the Chiefs before. I hope it didn't come out that way. I think it's tremendous what they're doing. And, from 2-14 to be unbeaten, it doesn't matter whether they've caught some breaks or not. The fact is they're still winning football games. And they're winning it by and you got to get them.
Yeah, they're winning by playing conservative football and focusing on the defensive end. Their defense is excellent. It's legitimate, too. I think the Broncos' defense is improving, and I really don't think Kansas City's that tough to defend. So I think the under is the way to go in this game. Whenever Peyton Manning's involved, I'm not going to say you're necessarily getting value on the under, because he can tear it up and destroy that ticket in a second. But in the right scenario, the fact that he's out there actually can help you with your play. I think the weather conditions, the big game atmosphere that's going to take place here, and just the likely game planning of the two teams indicates to me that this game will not get into the 50s. So I think the under is the way to play between the Chiefs and the Broncos. It is an under-the-hat weekend with my personal service plays, and that's an opportunity for you to get some really good stuff at a very small price. Big games, small price. How's that? You're going to play all my under-the-hat plays through Monday in football and basketball. You get plays every day. There'll be at least 4, probably more like 6 overall. And the total cost is $20 at 1-866-896-1629. That's 1-866-896-1629. And Jim, obviously, you are revved up and ready to go. College football game of the year, the highlight this weekend.
Dave, I'm really excited about this game. It lines up, as we're analyzing games here, we do this with most of the games on the card. If we have an opinion about a game, we dig into it and we find angles. Well, that's what I'm doing with my college game of the year as well. And that's why I call it a college game of the year. It's $500 online. I know it's not cheap, but for those of you who want to buy it online, you can. And then, because I know it is expensive, I also have an offer where if you call 1-866-841-1655, you can get the college game of the year for $100, and you get a bonus play along with that. Now, you got to remember, too, that I've had a great football season. The pros have been absolutely outstanding. The pro totals have been off the charts. They've been just off the charts. The college games have been very, very, very good. And now we start with, well, let me not forget this. We start off with the NBA a couple of weeks ago, and we've been doing very well with that. College basketball just started. If anybody want to watch the great basketball game last night, Duke against Kansas was really showcasing some great talent. The game, it's all here. This is a great time of year. You got all the football, all the basketball. It's a super time. It's a very busy time of year, but it's also a time of year where you can make a lot of profit if you know what you're doing. That's what I do. Every day I get up 4 o'clock. I work till 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. Every day. There are no days off. This is a time to make money. And that's what I do from now through the end of March. And then I start to relax a little bit, take a couple months to kind of clear my head, go through the NBA. I personally don't do baseball. My staff does that. This is the time I work because I know I can make me and you money. So you call this number, 1-866-841-1655. You get my college game of the year in football, and I have a lot of other things that you want to get involved with. But when you make that phone call, you get a bonus play along with it. It's only $100 for the game, or you can buy it right here online for $500.
All right, that's going to do it. That's going to do it for this edition of Proline. A quick note, by the way, if you've been watching college basketball early, it's been a parade of free throws with, with the new rules. UNLV, 24 for 48 from the foul line in their first two games. Fellas, you better pick it up, or there's going to be no NCAA tournament appearance for this squad this year. I mean, that is abysmal free throw shooting, and with the new rules, if you can't make free throws, you're going to lose basketball games like they're going out of style. That's just the way things are now in college basketball. Don't forget, speaking of college, there is a college football edition of Proline, and that's right here at the website, so check that out. Get a couple of opinions on some great games this weekend. And meanwhile, for Sean Hess and Jim Feist, we'll say so long, and thanks for watching this edition of Proline.
Thanks, guys.